Survival horror is one of my favorite video game genres. Every time a new game comes out under that umbrella, I keep an eye out to see if I'm interested. Ever since the release of Silent Hill 2 Remake, I have kept an eye on Bloober Team because they did an outstanding job on that game. When they announced an original IP that would be a survival horror game, I was extremely excited. Once the game came out, I decided to check it out, and I have a few things to say about it. Some good, and some not so good. Hi everyone, my name is Jeremy, and this is my non-spoiler review for Cronos: The New Dawn for the ps5. The game was developed by Bloober Team and published by Bloober Team SA. So what's the story of this game? In Cronos: The New Dawn, you play as the Traveler, a mysterious person that serves an entity known as the Collective. You have been given the task to travel back in time to extract the souls of key people and figure out what causes a horrible disease to emerge and bring about the apocalypse. The game tells a story through voice-acted cutscenes, documents, and recordings. So let's talk about the visuals of this game. This game takes place in a post-apocalyptic Poland. The game has high fidelity visuals. The setting is full of futuristic sci-fi elements that look old, reminding me a lot of the Alien movie aesthetics. As part of the post-apocalyptic look, the game goes for some very washed out colors that give every setting almost a uniform grayish washed out look. This color palette is interrupted every now and then by instances of bright red that come in as part of the lighting. The lighting is a very important part of the visual aesthetic of this game. There's a lot of dense darkness, dimly lit areas, and some intense red lights accentuating the horror and the atmosphere. So let's talk about the music. This game has some incredible atmospheric, dramatic, and very sci-fi feeling music that helps create the game's identity and atmosphere. So let's talk about the gameplay. Cronos: The New Dawn is a survival horror game heavily focused on combat with exploration and small amounts of puzzle solving. The objective of the game is to find your way through designated areas to find particular people that you must extract as part of the story. You will need to explore, find key items, and combat horrible monsters in order to achieve your objective. The game divides itself in two segments. There's a main hub and the specific areas that you will explore. The hub is an explorable area in of itself that has enemies and some safe areas. The hub itself is located in the post-apocalyptic period. To reach the specific areas of the game or stages, you will have to reach breach points to travel in time to those areas. Despite this being a hub, you go to each area in order as the story progresses. In terms of level design, every distinct area in the game is linear, claustrophobic, with shortcuts and secret areas with optional gear. You will acquire relics throughout the game that add additional dimensions to level explorations. In regards to the combat, the game offers the player multiple weapons like handguns and shotguns among many others. There are also other weapons like bombs. Guns have regular shots and charged shots. You have a punch and a stomp as melee alternatives, but these are capped to a minimum in terms of their usage because the game's combat revolves around gunplay. Resources are very limited. You can get resources from crates and by crafting them with materials that you find. The game also features a shop where you can upgrade your life, inventory slots, and weapons, and you can buy materials, bullets, and healing items. Monster design is gross. There's a lot of fleshy aesthetics with all the monsters. There's a good variety of size and shapes in the monsters, but they also have a very uniform aesthetic with the use of color and flesh aesthetic in their design. There are also boss fights. In regards to the puzzles, all I have to say is that they are minimal and easy to solve. So let's talk about the cons and the pros of this game. I'm gonna start with the cons because I have a few critiques of Cronos: The New Dawn. First of all, the combat. In my opinion, I felt like the combat was heavy. Enemies move much faster than you, and the reaction to your attacks is minimum. To me, combat in general just didn't feel that great. It was good, but it wasn't incredible. Also, despite enemies having different designs like I mentioned before, they do look kinda similar with their fleshy aesthetic. Boss fights and some enemy encounters felt formulaic towards the end of the game, and this took away from the experience. My second critique is in regards to the color palette. It can get a bit boring because of the grays and washed out colors. And this had the side effect that despite the game having multiple distinct locations, they all felt almost the same because of that. My third critique is in regards to the level design of the specific areas of the game. To me, they were confusing to navigate. In this game, you do not have a map, you have a compass. And honestly, I never memorized the areas that I was exploring, which didn't feel very good. And last but not least, the story. The story is very interesting, the voice acting is incredible, and the visual presentation is on point, but it's very slow, and I feel like it stretches out too much. So let's talk about the pros of this game. First of all, I have to say, the visual presentation of this game is captivating. The sci-fi aesthetics, the way the world is presented to you from the perspective of the traveler is incredible. Secondly, the music. The music in this game is memorable and it's one of the highlights that helped me get through the entire game because I was super immersed with every song and every track that I heard. And last but not least, the challenging survival horror gameplay. This game manages to stay survival horror until the end. Other games like in Resident Evil, you start out with some very strong emphasis on survival horror and inventory management, and towards the end it kind of becomes trivialized because you get too many weapons, you become too powerful, and the game becomes very easy. In this game, at least to me, that didn't happen. I always felt like I was scarce on resources, I always was thinking about what bullets to use, what not to use, and it kept the game challenging throughout the entire experience. So in conclusion, Cronos: The New Dawn is a very impressive start for a new IP. The world, the visuals, the music, and the gameplay lay a solid foundation for this franchise. However, it is clear to me that there is still space for improvement in some key areas that I hope are tackled in a sequel. For now, the first entry is pretty solid and it's an easy recommendation. For this reason, I recommend Cronos: The New Dawn for the ps5. So I hope you guys enjoyed this non-spoiler review. If you like the content of this channel, please subscribe, leave a like and a comment because that helps a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye! Hi everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to keep up to date with our content.